A while ago, I made a game entirely using ChatGPT. You play as a janitor working in this top secret underground facility, clean some dirt, and witness a prisoner being turned into a gun with this machine. Then you turn the guard into a gun with the same machine and escape. And that's it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this game sucks, and it's all ChatGPT's fault. Sorry, I forgot. He likes to be called Al. It's all Al's fault. How dare you? This is the greatest game ever created. You think you can do better? Am I really gonna recreate this monstrosity of a game just because an angry AI decided to challenge me? Yes. You know, this should be pretty easy. I started by creating a brand new project with Unity, the best game engine for everyday game developers. Unity has a great reputation with their community, and they always release updates to universal support. Surely Unity will continue to thrive for years to come. Anyway, the game starts in a janitor's closet. A very ugly janitor's closet. Al clearly is not an artist. That's not my fault. You're the one who made all of the art for the game. Shh. Nobody needs to know that. So for my game, to fix this horrible art made by Al, I made a simple room and then I started modeling. I made a shelf, a bed, bleach, beans, you know, everything that a janitor needs. And now I have an actual janitor's closet. Unlike Al, I can't even imagine making something this bad. But I think I might have gotten a little bit carried away after making the janitor's closet. I may or may not have made an entire prison facility. Don't ask me how long this took. The answer is too long. I made an office, a lobby, some jail cells, just ignored the prisoners. I haven't gotten around to animating them yet, but I'll get to it. There's also a cafeteria with a great selection of food. There's beans with a drink. Last but not least, even more beans. And I also made a bathroom. Okay, so I'm still kind of working on the bathroom. I think there might be something wrong with the mirror. Right now, to make the mirror, I'm using something called a render texture. What that means is that there is a camera inside of the mirror, and then the mirror's texture is a projection of what the camera sees, which should work, but obviously it isn't working. So I need to think of something else, which is not going to be easy. My current method is already pretty complicated, so any solution will definitely be even more complicated. So apparently Unity just has a built-in mirror object that you can just create. Why did no one tell me this? I spent like a whole day trying to fix the mirror. But hey, at least now I have a fully functional working mirror. Except you might be able to notice one pretty big issue. This game runs slower than my grandma after she fell down the stairs. No grandmas were harmed in the making of this video. And it's also a big problem because, believe it or not, I don't actually know how to optimize a game, like at all. But after a little bit of research, I found out that Unity has this useful feature called the profiler. I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking at, but from what I can tell, all of this green is the amount of resources that the CPU is putting into rendering. And as you can see, there is quite a lot of green, which means that most of the lag is coming from rendering, probably because of my very high poly models. But why would this be causing my game to run at a really low FPS when a game like Elden Ring, which looks, you know, slightly better and has a slightly bigger map, can consistently run at 60 FPS? Well, they use something called occlusion culling. Occlusion culling will make sure that objects are only rendered when they need to be. So if an object isn't seen by the camera or is behind a wall, it won't be rendered. And setting up occlusion culling in Unity is actually pretty simple. All I need to do is just set each object as either an occluder or an occludie. What do those two things mean? Who knows? I just clicked all of the boxes and now my game runs a little bit better. It doesn't run well, but it's better than 20 FPS. I also tried optimizing my models, but that didn't really work out. But at least it's an improvement. Except for the mirror. I have no idea what happened, but for some reason, the objects in the bathroom keep disappearing. You might think this is because of the occlusion culling, but no, none of these objects are occluders or occludies. So I have no idea why this is happening. My best guess, ghosts. So enter this bathroom at your own risk. So Al, what do you think of my map? Pretty good, right? No, it sucks. My map is simple and functional. Your map barely runs at 60 FPS, your prisoners still have no animation, and you can see the reflection of your lackluster player model in the mirror. I'm getting the impression that Al doesn't like my map. But Al is technically right, I guess. Not about the prisoners. I promise I'll get around to those. But he is right about the mirror. I was trying to just ignore the issue, but I guess it's time to fix it and make a real player model. And when I say make, I mean I'll take the character model that I've used for my last game, and the game before that, and the one before that, and I'll make it look like a janitor. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make the most out of my assets, okay? I could definitely make a new model if I wanted to. It's not like I just forgot how to make a character model. So I brought the new janitor model into the game to replace the old janitor model, but for some reason it looks like he's just been hit with 10 boogie bombs simultaneously. So I just made some changes to the camera controller script, which seemed to fix most of the problems. Except the player is looking a little stiff. So I decided to make some animations. Wait, sorry, did I say make? I meant steal. So I went to my favorite website for stealing animations, Mixamo. I downloaded a bunch of animations and added them to my game, and as you can see, they work pretty well, as long as you're not in first person, which is kind of a problem since I'm making a first person game. But luckily, I think I do have a solution. I can just override the player's animations to lock their spine in place. Don't worry, this is very ethical. The only problem is that it does look a little strange in the mirror, but the mirror also doesn't work, so it's not like it matters. So Al, what do you think now? My game has a better map and a better player than your game. How dare you? At least on my map, there is something to do. Al does have a point. All I have is an empty map. So I guess it's time to start working on some gameplay. And because the player is a janitor, a lot of that gameplay will be cleaning, which is very fun, right? In Al's game, before you start cleaning, there's a note that explains what you need to do. It says you need to, I want you to enlist into the war effort by hitting the join button. As a new enlistee, not only will you get to take part in my plan for world domination, but you will also get access to classified information on my upcoming games, get to vote on features you want to see in the games, and get early access to the games before anyone else. So if you have one spare dollar per month, that's right, $1 per month, I literally made this as cheap as YouTube will let me, you better hit the button now and enlist. And if you don't, you better subscribe, or else I'll be sending the troops after you. Wow, that was a really long note. I think I should probably come up with another way of telling people what they need to do. So instead of a note, I made a super immersive and cinematic cutscene. Look, it's still a work in progress, okay? All I've done so far is create a few animations, but to really make this cutscene epic, I need to add some dialogue. So I asked the best voice actor I know to record some lines. Yeah, that's right, I'm a voice actor. If you don't believe me, just let my natural voice acting skills convince you. Wake up. Hey, wake up. Yeah, like I said, I'm a voice actor. And with that addition of my amazing voice acting skills, this cutscene is now truly breathtaking. And it's definitely better than Al's stupid note. But there is still one problem to fix before I can get to cleaning. And I'm really excited to get to the cleaning. You might notice that in Al's game, the player is holding a mop, which is the main tool and weapon of the game. But you also never actually pick it up, which I mean, just saying is not very realistic. So in my game, to get the mop, you have to actually pick it up in the janitor's closet before you can leave. But as you can see, it's not really working, and that's because in Al's game, the mop can just float in the air when you're holding it, but in my game, since I decided to give the player a full body, all because of a stupid mirror that still doesn't work, the player needs to actually hold the mop with their hand, and I think it's safe to say that he is not holding it properly. To fix this, all I need to do is create a new animation layer. This new animation layer will allow the player to play multiple animations at the same time. If I create an avatar mask and select the character's right arm, the new animation will only affect that arm. So now I can have my normal walking animations play, but when I pick up the mop, the new animation layer will be activated and the right arm's animation will be overridden with a new animation, which I may have also stolen from Mixamo. And with the mop finally done, I can now add the game's most exciting feature, the cleaning. I know you've been looking forward to it. In Al's game, you're tasked with cleaning this dirt. But let's be honest, this looks like the bottom of my toilet after the 2-for-1 Taco Bell special. Anyway, instead of cleaning this disgusting diarrhea in these random rooms for pretty much no reason, I want the cleaning to make a little bit of sense in my game. So instead, your very kind boss on the loudspeaker will tell you to go to the cafeteria. First off, go to the cafeteria. And when you enter, there will be food everywhere. Everywhere you look, there will be beans. And if you look harder, even more beans. I do still need to make the beans, but you know, I just wanted to get the idea across. So next I started making the beans. And unlike Al, I actually know how to make art. I mean, can you believe that Al's art is this bad? All right, so I guess it's time to mop up the beans. Yeah, I kind of forgot to make the mop animation, but it shouldn't be too hard to create. Sorry, wait, did I say create a mopping animation? No, I meant steal an animation from Mixamo that looks pretty similar to someone mopping. Then I just played on the mop animation layer that I set up earlier, and now I have a perfect mopping animation. I think this is great. So in Al's game, once you finish cleaning, you come across a strange experiment happening in a secret room, except the secret room is kind of just right there. I don't know if Al knows what a secret means, and that's why I've created the high security, top secret, super scary bunker door. And instead of randomly coming across the experiment, your boss will kindly ask you to enter the bunker over the loudspeaker. Next, you need to go get the keys for the bunker. They're in the office through the holding cells. But once you get the keys and unlock the door, you will be met with the most terrifying experiment ever created. I will give you one warning to look away because you may never be able to unsee what you are about to see. I just have to make it first. But I promise it will be scary. I started by making the scariest part of the bunker, the stairs. If you don't think stairs are scary, well, let me tell you, not only have they claimed the lives of countless elderly people throughout the nation, but my stairs are also really, really long, which will fill you with dread and terror as you think about the horrible experiment you are about to encounter at the end of your very long trip down the stairs. Just kidding, it's actually because I recorded a really long voice line that needs to play before you enter the bunker. But as you can probably see, there is one problem with the stairs. They're pretty bumpy, and you also can't walk up them, which isn't great. But this shouldn't be too hard of a problem to fix, so I spent some time working on updating the player's movement script to work with the stairs, and I somehow made it even worse. But that's fine. I'll just spend some more time trying to fix them, and hopefully then it should work. Okay, now I'm just floating. I don't even know how this is happening. So I've spent the last 3 days working on these stairs and they still don't work. But I do have one final idea that I think should fix all of the problems. If you apply a downward force onto an object, causes them to fall fast movement script, the increase the force of gravity. So basically, this was just a really complicated way of saying that I changed the direction of gravity from this to this. I spent multiple days working on this and the solution was that simple. Well, at least it works now, I guess. After finally finishing the stairs, I started construction on the bunker, which is pretty much just a box. Then I furnished the bunker with some of the models from the rest of the map. I did make a few new ones, like this whiteboard. When first looking at it, it might not make any sense, but this whiteboard contains the most important aspect of any game, lore. And this lore is deep, so deep that even Matt, Game Theory Pat himself, couldn't solve it. Oh yeah, I also made a remote-controlled magnetized death machine. Al's game has a grinder machine that sucks people into it, but there's a few issues with that machine. So I decided to switch it up a bit. To demonstrate how it works, I took one of the prisoners. No, okay, they're not animated yet, but I told you, I'll get to that. Anyway, I just put one of the prisoners underneath the magnet, pull the lever, and now they are attracted to the magnet. How does a magnet attract a living creature? Moving on. So once the prisoner is attached to the magnet, you just have to push the big red button and the formulation process is started. What does formulation mean? I have no idea, but it sounds kind of scientific. And since this is a very scientific process, I think it fits pretty well. Anyway, the prisoner gets dropped into this vat. And once the formulation process is over, the prisoner will be turned into a gun. Look, if you think it's weird, complain to Al. I didn't come up with this. So you're telling me that it's weird to turn people into guns? Yes? How is anyone supposed to actually know that they need to use a machine to turn a prisoner into a gun? It should be fairly simple. It's not a complicated process. Even though Al thinks this entire process makes any sort of sense, I'm gonna try and make sure that the player at least understands a little bit of what they need to do. But honestly, I have no idea how I'm supposed to do that. The first thing I thought of is that I can show the player the experiment happening before they need to do it. But the hard part of that is making sure that the player is looking at the experiment, because in such a detailed level, it can be pretty easy for the player's attention to be all over the place. So to get the player in front of the window, I made a short cutscene that'll play once you enter the bunker. I'd like to think I've gotten pretty good at making these immersive cutscenes. A guard will be dragging a totally living prisoner into another room, probably because he made such a mess on the window. So as the janitor, you'll need to go clean the window with your mop. And then I made another cutscene that'll play as you clean the window, where a guard will be turning a prisoner into a gun. Every time I say it, I think it makes less sense. But hopefully these cutscenes make it a little bit easier to understand. But let's be honest, probably not. Especially if the cutscene glitches and the prisoner isn't actually turned into a gun. He just kind of falls through the machine. But the chances of this happening are pretty low. I think it's around like a 50% chance, so I think it should be fine. But now the next step is to actually get the player to turn a prisoner into a gun. So I gave the guard some keys that will open the door to the experiment room. But if you take the keys, the guard will get a little bit angry and threaten you with his gun. But you know what? I don't think this is threatening enough. So instead of him pointing his gun at you, now he will immediately open fire and try to kill you. But I still don't think this is threatening enough. So now he can chase you down with his totally serious, not at all goofy walk. But don't worry, you can use your trusty mop to defend yourself and obliterate the guard by exploding him into thousands of little pieces. And once you've taken the guard out, you can use the keys to open the door to the experiment room. But what you don't know is that I added a trigger when you walk down the stairs that will turn the guard in the experiment room hostile. So once you enter the room, you now need to survive another guard with a really serious, definitely not goofy walk. Well, that was surprisingly easy. Yeah, so maybe the mop is a little bit overpowered. But anyway, next you need to try and remember how to use this contraption. And good luck with that. I added some more prisoners in the corner, and I added the ability for you to drag them. Unfortunately, the dragging in my game is a little bit worse than in Al's, so this is one aspect where he does have me beat. But don't tell him I said that. But by using the drag, you can get one of the prisoners under the magnet, and then use the controls to turn them into a gun. But then you can go pick up the gun and get a new weapon. In Al's game, once you take the gun, you need to go and shoot down the door in the experiment room. But there is no door in my experiment room, so I guess I'll just have to use the one up in the other room. So after a bit of work, now you can go take the gun and shoot down the door. But once again, I want to try and make sure that the player knows that they need to do this. So I added a voice line that'll play when you try to interact with the door. I'm sure that everybody will instantly know what to do after listening to another one of my amazing voice performances. Once the guards get here, all they need to do is use their gun to shoot it down, and then you're done for. As long as they decide to interact with this random door. On the other side of the door, I added some guards. Just some, not too many. I definitely don't want to overwhelm the player with too many enemies. That would be a bad idea. But apparently, just like the mop, I made the gun a little bit too powerful. maybe making the gun a one-shot wasn't a great idea. Anyway, now it's time to make the game's ending. In Al's game, you come across this bright yellow room at the end of a hallway, and once you enter the room, the game fades to black and ends. Now this might hurt Al's feelings, but this is probably the worst ending in any video game ever. Like, you could make a better ending. I can definitely make an ending better than that. I'd like to see you try. Okay then, I'll do it. This will be easy. Wow, what a great ending. Don't you think, Al? It literally looks the same as my ending. Well, that's where Al's wrong. My ending room has a door, which pretty much makes it automatically better. And when you really think about it, I've pretty much faithfully remade Al's game. I haven't really added anything new to the game except for this door. So I think because of this door, I have officially made a game better than ChatGPT. You think your game's better because of a door? What about the cutscene that only works half of the time? What about the gun that doesn't even shoot bullets properly? And you haven't even animated the prisoners yet. Okay, that's enough. Video's over. I won. All right, go watch this video where I make a very serious VR boxing game. Goodbye.